She bought a black man a sandwich. Every Tuesday, the next week, 100 officers walked into her shop and took off their hats. The first time she handed him that sandwich, he looked like he was about to cry. Not because of the food. I mean, yeah, the man was clearly starving, skin hanging off his cheeks, clothes like they'd been dragged through 100 alleyways. But it wasn't that. It was the way she handed it to him. Like he wasn't invisible. No eye roll, no fake smile. Just a soft, "Here you go, honey," like she'd known him forever. And I swear, the man just stood there, clutching that sandwich with both hands like it was gold. Didn't even eat it for a minute. Just looked down at it, like he was trying to remember the last time someone gave him something without asking for anything back. I watched all this from table 7, every Tuesday, 12:45 p.m. That's my booth. Old habit. BLT, extra mayo, iced tea with lemon. I see everything from that spot. And that Tuesday, I saw something I didn't get at first. Because the next week, he came back, same time, same place, walked in slow, like he wasn't sure he was allowed. Same ratty jeans, same hunched shoulders. She saw him, waved him over like he was a regular, and said, "You want turkey today?" He nodded, barely, and that became the thing. Every Tuesday, same man, different sandwich, no name, no backstory, no questions. Just a sandwich and a kind word from the woman behind the counter. Her name was Marie, ran the shop by herself after her husband passed 2 years ago. Everyone in town knew her. Not flashy, not loud, just kind in a way you didn't see much anymore. And she never told anyone why she did it, not once. People noticed, though. Whispers started. Why does she keep feeding him? He's probably a junkie. You're encouraging him to hang around. I even heard one guy say, "He's dangerous. You can see it in his eyes." But I watched that man every week. He never asked for anything, never caused trouble. Just waited until she handed him that brown paper bag, said thank you so quietly you could barely hear it, and left. One Tuesday, it was raining hard. Like biblical flood kind of rain. I figured he wouldn't show. He did, sopping wet, shaking, shoes making that squish, squish sound with every step. Marie didn't flinch. She handed him a towel first, then the sandwich. Then, for the first time, a coffee. He took it like it might break in his hands. I couldn't help it. After he left, I asked her, "Why him?" She wiped her hands on her apron, looked at me and said, "Why not him?" That was it. Why not him? Didn't ask for approval, didn't offer a speech, just went back to slicing tomatoes like it was the most normal thing in the world. But then, the next week came, and everything changed. I was at table 7, like always. Marie was behind the counter, wiping it down. It was 12:43. I remember because I looked at my phone. 2 minutes early, but I was expecting him. And he didn't walk in. No, he didn't walk in. They did. First, it was one guy, big, broad shoulders, police uniform, then 2 more, then 10, then 20. All quiet. No sirens, no radios, just a slow stream of officers walking in, single file. They filled every inch of that diner, standing room only. Marie just stared at them. We all did. I mean, what the hell? Then, the last officer walked in, holding something in his hand, a folded flag, and behind him, that man, but not the man we knew. This one had clean clothes, a fresh haircut, shoulders back, chin up, and in that moment I saw him for who he really was. Captain Isaiah Bennett, retired, former Marine, decorated, honourable discharge, and homeless. Because after 2 tours, a divorce, and a stroke of bad luck, he ended up on the streets, forgotten, tossed aside, until Marie saw him. She didn't know any of that. She never asked. But her kindness, her sandwich, it gave him enough to stand up again, to walk into the VA and ask for help, to reconnect with people who thought he was gone, to find his brother, a police chief in the next city over. That man behind the flag, that was his brother, and every one of those officers, They came to thank Marie. They lined up, each one taking off their hat, looking her in the eye and saying, "Thank you," one by one, until she had tears in her eyes and her hand on her heart. And you know what? That sandwich? It wasn't much, not to most people, but to him, it was a reason to come back, to believe somebody still saw him. And that saved his life. She didn't say a word for a while after that last officer thanked her. She just stood there behind the counter, clutching the edge of it like the ground underneath her had shifted and she was still trying to catch her balance. Nobody moved, not the regulars, not me, not even the cops. You could feel something in that room, like silence had weight, like we were all standing inside, a moment none of us quite knew how to explain. Finally, she looked up at him, at Isaiah, and her voice cracked when she said, "You clean up nice, mister." He laughed, not a fake one either, a real belly laugh that sounded like it had been buried somewhere deep and forgotten. And when he hugged her, really hugged her, she hugged him right back. No hesitation, just two people, holding on like they were the last ones left standing. After that, the cops left quietly. No parade, no speeches, just a nod here, a soft word there. But the story didn't end that day. Not even close, because Isaiah didn't leave town. He stayed, started helping out around the diner, washing dishes, unloading deliveries, even wiped tables when it got busy. Marie tried to pay him, of course. He wouldn't take a dime, said she already paid him enough. She finally compromised and let him live in the little storage room out back, fixed it up real simple. Mattress, heater, fresh coat of paint, said it wasn't charity, said it was a trade agreement for labor. But everyone knew what it really was. It was her way of saying, "You belong here now." And maybe that's what made things shift in the town. Slowly at first, but then all at once. A couple kids who used to avoid the diner started coming in more. They talked to Isaiah like he was a coach or something, started asking him questions about life, about the military, about making it through tough stuff. One of them, Jamal, stopped getting into fights at school, started showing up early to help Isaiah sweep the sidewalk before school. Isaiah said to him one morning, "You don't have to do that, you know." And Jamal said, "Yeah, but you do. And you don't complain." That hit me. I don't even think Isaiah knew what to say. He just handed the kid a muffin and nodded. But not everyone was happy. There were still people, bitter people, who'd whisper things when they thought no one could hear. She's making it about herself. What if more of them start coming? Bet it's just for the publicity. And you know what? Marie never responded. She just kept doing what she did. Sandwiches, smiles, clean booths, coffee refilled before you even realized your cup was half empty. Then something happened that changed everything again. It was a Thursday. Place was half full. Isaiah was in back fixing a leaking pipe. Marie was up front, chatting with a woman and her kid. And then, crash. Window shattered. A rock flew in and landed on table 4, wrapped in a note. I still remember Marie's face. Not fear, not anger, just this tired kind of heartbreak. Isaiah came running out, dripping wet from the pipe, looked around and saw the note. He didn't say a word, just picked it up, read it, crumpled it, and walked back outside. I followed him. Couldn't help it. He stood on the sidewalk, scanning the street, but whoever did it was already gone. He didn't chase, he didn't shout, he just whispered, "Still got work to do," and went back inside. That's when I knew this wasn't just about a sandwich anymore. It was about what people think a man like Isaiah deserves, what a woman like Marie is allowed to give, and whether kindness still has a place in a world that's gotten real good at pretending it doesn't. You still with me? Because what happened next, nobody saw that coming. The next morning, the diner's window was boarded up with plywood, but the sign on the door still said "Open" in bright red letters, just like it always did. Marie had written something in marker across the plywood, big, bold letters, took up the whole board. "This window breaks, but we don't." Simple. Firm, no drama. And people noticed. First, it was the mailman, usually just dropped letters through the slot and kept walking. That day, he came in, bought a coffee, and left a $5 tip. Then, the lady from the pharmacy came in and handed Marie a small envelope. Inside were $20 and a note. For the next Tuesday sandwich. By lunchtime, table 7 was full, not with my usual self, but with a group of high school kids. Jamal included. I ended up at the counter, which turned out to be a blessing, because I got to watch it unfold up close. Every person who walked in that day said the same thing in one way or another. We saw the sign. We heard what happened. We just wanted to show up. Marie never made a speech. She barely even looked up from the coffee pot most of the time. But her eyes, they were saying a lot. Isaiah worked like nothing had happened. Clean shirt, rolled up sleeves. Took 2 orders, refilled water glasses, and fixed the squeaky door hinge without being asked. It was like the vandalism didn't shake him, just reminded him why he was there. I asked him quietly, "You okay, man?" He looked at me, smiled faintly, and said, "That window's been broken before." In different ways. Didn't need him to explain. I got it. But not everyone who came in that day was kind. This one guy, I think his name was Carl, works at the auto body shop, strolled in with his phone already recording, walked straight to the counter and pointed it at Marie, said loud enough for everyone to hear, "So, what's your message, huh? That feeding bums makes you a hero." Silence. Marie didn't flinch, just wiped the counter, glanced at the phone and said, "Feeding people makes me human. What you do with that is up to you." He smirked, turned to Isaiah like he was baiting him into something, and added, "And you? You playing soldier to feel important again?" Isaiah didn't even blink. He stepped forward, calm as ever, and said, "Nah. I already did important things. Now I'm just trying to be useful." Carl turned red, muttered something under his breath, and left. Fast. Nobody clapped. Nobody cheered. But you could feel it, this invisible thread pulling tighter between everyone in that room. And then something wild happened. That Saturday, someone slid a white envelope under the diner door. Inside was a check. $25,000. No note, no name. Just a check made out to Marie's diner. She almost dropped it when she opened it, stared at it like it was some kind of trap. Isaiah leaned in, saw the amount, and said, "Guess the sandwich got interest." They used it to replace the window. Proper glass, reinforced. Marie added a sticker to the corner of it that said, "Still standing." They also fixed up the storage room out back, turned it into a full studio. Fridge, stove, desk, made it a home. Isaiah moved in fully after that, said he'd been planning to go eventually, head somewhere warmer, but something about the plywood sign, the rock, the community, it made him stay. And here's the part that hit me hardest. One day, out of nowhere, this young woman walks in, maybe early 20s, tight curls, tired eyes, holding a folder. She asks for Isaiah. He comes out, sees her, and his knees nearly give out. "Jasmine," he says. She nods. Doesn't speak for a second, then hands him the folder. Inside, drawings, dozens of them. Sketches, coloured pages, some torn, some clean, all signed Love, J. Bennett. She said, "I kept sending them. You never answered." Isaiah stared at the pages, then at her, then back at the pages like he couldn't believe they were real. "I didn't have an address," he whispered. She nodded. "I know. I looked for you for 3 years." Turns out she was his daughter, and she found him because of that rock. The story went viral. Someone took a picture of Marie's window. It made its way to Reddit, then Instagram, then a local news station, then national. Jasmine saw it from a repost by her art professor. And just like that, all those Tuesdays, all those sandwiches, they led here. A father, a daughter, a reunion no one expected. Now pause for a second. Can you imagine? You thought you'd lost someone forever. Not because they died, but because the world swallowed them. And then a sandwich, a simple, quiet sandwich, starts the trail that brings them back. What would you do in that moment? Because what Jasmine did next, that's the part that gets me. She walked around the counter, slow and unsure, like maybe she'd misread the moment, like she wasn't sure if he'd let her hug him. And Isaiah just stood there, frozen. Then he said something so soft I almost missed it. I kept every one of your drawings, the ones your mum let me have. And that's when she broke. Not loudly, just this quiet gasp, like something deep inside her cracked and let everything spill out. She stepped forward, and he opened his arms. That hug, man, that hug was different. It wasn't a movie hug, no swelling music, no dramatic camera angles. It was just real, shaky, desperate, messy in the way love is when it's been missing too long. Marie didn't interrupt. Nobody did. It felt sacred, like stepping in would ruin something fragile and huge at the same time. Eventually they sat in the booth by the window. Isaiah held her hand like he was scared she'd vanish if he let go. She told him about school, how she almost dropped out, how she drew to feel close to him, even when everyone else told her he didn't care. He told her about the park bench he slept on for a year, about the VA counselor who didn't remember his name, about how Marie's sandwich was the first thing he didn't have to earn or explain. She said, "You don't owe me an apology." And he whispered, "I want to give you one anyway." They didn't talk about everything. Some stuff sat there between them, unspoken. But that's okay. Sometimes healing isn't about digging up every old wound. Sometimes it's just about being in the same room again. Marie finally brought them both hot chocolate, said nothing, just smiled and walked away. Later that night, Jasmine taped one of her new drawings to the diner wall. It showed the front of Marie's place, window glowing, Isaiah holding a sandwich in one hand, his other hand reaching toward a girl made entirely of pencil lines and little colored shapes. It was beautiful, imperfect, honest. She titled it Tuesday. From that day on, people started calling Marie's diner the Tuesday Place, even though it was open every day. People started leaving folded notes under the napkin holders, just small things. "Och, your kindness reminded me to call my dad," or "I gave a sandwich to someone today because of you." It became a thing. Then, a guy with a DSLR and big dreams made a documentary, 10 minutes long, just called it The Sandwich, uploaded it to YouTube, 4 million views. The mayor came in the next week and offered Marie some kind of city recognition. She said no. "I'm not a story," she told him. "I'm a woman who saw a man and handed him lunch." But even she couldn't stop what came next. One afternoon, this woman walks in, mid-30s, business clothes, Bluetooth headset still in her ear, walks right up to the counter and says, "I've been driving for 6 hours. I needed to see this place." Marie raises an eyebrow. "You hungry?" The woman smiles. "Starving." They sit, she eats. Then she tells Marie she's from a non-profit that helps veterans transition out of homelessness, says she's seen 1,000 stories, but none hit her like the one about Isaiah and that window. And she makes an offer: help, funding, structure. She says they want to create a program, name it after the diner. Marie just laughs, like the idea of naming a program after a place with flickering lights and a leaky backroom sink was somehow ridiculous. But Isaiah looks at her and says, "You know we could help a lot of people, right?" She nods. "Yeah, I know." And that's how the Tuesday Project started. One tiny office next to the diner, 2 folding chairs, a desk, and a bulletin board. Isaiah volunteered there every day, helped vets get their ID cards replaced, walked folks through paperwork, sat beside them when they made tough calls to family they hadn't spoken to in years. He wasn't perfect. Sometimes he got overwhelmed. Sometimes the pain behind his eyes came back and made his hands shake. But he showed up every single day. And when a reporter asked him once why he kept doing it, he said, Because someone fed me when I was invisible. Now I make sure no one else feels that way. Pause and think about that. Have you ever seen someone invisible? I don't mean you looked at them. I mean really saw them? Because that's what Marie did. She didn't see a homeless man. She saw a man. And Isaiah, he saw her too, not just as the lady who made sandwiches, but as someone brave enough to believe small acts can change everything. Funny thing is, they never said they were changing the world. They just did what they could, where they were, with what they had. And the ripples, they kept spreading. One day, this young guy shows up, skinny, tattoos up both arms, carrying a duffel bag like it held his whole life. Didn't say much. Just walked in, looked around and said, "This where the Tuesday thing is?" Marie pointed to the room next door. "Right through there, baby." Isaiah met him halfway, asked his name. "Drew," he muttered. "Drew Palmer." Isaiah just nodded and said, "You hungry?" Drew didn't answer, but the way he looked down at the floor said enough. 5 minutes later, he had a grilled cheese in front of him, hot and greasy with that corner just a little burnt, the way Marie accidentally on purpose made it when she was moving fast. He ate like he hadn't had a real meal in days, maybe weeks. Later that afternoon, I saw him and Isaiah talking out back. Not serious, not heavy, just real. I couldn't hear the words, but you could tell from the way Drew stood that something shifted. That night, Isaiah told Marie, "He reminds me of me. Back then." Marie said, "Then let's make sure he doesn't stay there." And that's what they did. They didn't throw money at him. They didn't give him a lecture. They just kept showing up. Drew started helping out in the mornings, taking trash out, cleaning up, scraping gum off the sidewalk. Quiet work, honest work. 3 weeks in, he shaved his beard. 2 months later, he was managing deliveries. I asked him one day why he stuck around. He shrugged. Thought it was a cult or something at first. All this kindness didn't make sense. I laughed. And now? He looked toward the diner and said, "Now it's the first place I ever felt like I could walk in and not get kicked back out." That's what the Tuesday Project became, a door that didn't slam shut. And it grew, faster than anyone expected. The city donated another space down the street, bigger, better. Volunteers started showing up, college kids, old vets, mums with extra time, even one guy who used to be a client. Now he was teaching others how to write resumes. And Marie still made sandwiches every Tuesday. Didn't matter how big the project got, didn't matter if the mayor showed up or a film crew asked for an interview. Every Tuesday, she had one sandwich wrapped in paper sitting on the counter by 12:45. Just like before, she said, "That's the route. If I stop doing that, I forget where this all came from." But here's the part you probably wouldn't believe unless you'd been there. 1 year after the first sandwich, almost to the day, something wild happened. Marie was closing up late, just her and Isaiah. Everyone else had gone. Place was quiet. And then, bang. A knock on the door. Marie peeked out and saw a woman, maybe mid-50s, nervous eyes, holding a plastic grocery bag. Marie opened the door a crack. "Sorry, we're closed, hon." The woman nodded. "I know. I brought something." She handed over the bag and turned to leave, fast. Marie called out, "Wait! What is this?" The woman looked back. "A sandwich, turkey and cheese. I thought maybe someone might need it." She walked away before Marie could say anything else. Isaiah came over, peeked in the bag and started laughing. Not because it was funny, because it was full circle. Marie looked at him. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" He said, "Yeah. I think we just got our first Tuesday Pay It Forward." Next week, 5 sandwiches showed up, then 10. People just dropping them off. No names, no fuss, just food. From one hand to the next. You ever seen that kind of thing? Where one act sparks another, and it just grows? It's wild how fast kindness can move when nobody's trying to own it. Isaiah once said, "We're not changing lives, we're just giving people space to catch their breath. And maybe that's all it takes. A breath, a sandwich, a name remembered. Drew eventually moved out of town, got a real job, sent postcards back to the diner with dumb jokes and gas station magnets. One of them said, "Tell Marie I still like the crust burnt." And Marie? She got older, slower. But she never stopped. People offered to buy the place, franchise it, make it a brand. She said no every time. "This ain't a business model," she told them. "It's a heartbeat." And when they pushed, asked her why she wouldn't expand, she looked them dead in the eye and said, "Because then it stops being Tuesday." Let that sit for a second, because soon after, something happened that none of us were ready for. Marie didn't open the shop one Tuesday. First time in 17 years. No note on the door, no voicemail, no social post, just closed. I got there at 12:45 like always, stood outside with my coffee going cold in my hand, staring at that locked door like it didn't make sense. Isaiah pulled up 5 minutes later, keys already out. He looked confused, then worried. He opened the door, walked inside, and called out, "Marie!" Nothing. I followed him in, and right away we both knew. Something was off. The coffee machine wasn't on. The chairs were still stacked. The sandwich wasn't on the counter. We checked the back. Marie was sitting in her chair, wrapped in a blanket, eyes closed like she'd just nodded off. But she hadn't. Isaiah dropped to his knees. Just sat there, holding her hand, not saying a word. Eventually, he whispered, "She didn't suffer." She went soft. I sat down beside him, and for the first time since I met him, I saw him cry. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet tears that fell one after another while he stared at the floor like the whole world had tilted. We called who we needed to call. Then we sat there for hours, not talking, just sitting. You know how, when someone like Marie leaves, it feels impossible to explain her to people who never met her. How do you tell someone she built a revolution out of lunch meat and coffee refills? How do you explain that she didn't save Isaiah with grand gestures? She saved him with a sandwich and silence? The funeral was packed, standing room only. People flew in, veterans, old customers, strangers who had once read a story about a sandwich shop and never forgot it. Jasmine stood up to speak, said, "She gave me my dad back." Then Isaiah got up, cleared his throat, holding a little index card he never once looked down at. He said, "Marie never asked for attention. She didn't want this. But you're here, so I'll say one thing." He looked around. She didn't fix people, she fed them, and that gave them the strength to fix themselves. He stepped down. That was it. Simple, honest, like Marie would have wanted. Afterward, we opened the diner for the day. On the house, people brought in sandwiches, like actual baskets of them. Turkey, ham, peanut butter, you name it. Someone put a sign on the wall, "Tuesday forever." And just like that, a new tradition started. Every Tuesday, we still open, still give out one sandwich to someone who needs it, still keep that corner booth clear, table 7, just in case someone wants to sit and remember. Isaiah still runs the place. Jasmine visits often, now with her own little girl who draws on the back of placemats and calls Isaiah Grandpa Z. Sometimes people ask me why I still come, why I sit at the counter, order the same BLT, and watch the same coffee pot fill again and again. And I tell them, because kindness isn't a campaign, it's not a flash, it's a rhythm, like breathing, like Tuesday. So if you ever find yourself near a little diner with a sticker in the window that says, "Still standing, come on in," sit a while, watch. You'll probably see someone walk through the door, hesitate at the counter, and then get handed a sandwich like it's the most normal thing in the world. And maybe it is. Maybe that's the whole point. If you were in this situation, what would you do? Have you ever gone through something like this or helped someone who did? Let us know in the comments. Like the video if you felt it. And subscribe if you want more life stories that stay with you.